Alright, I'm just gonna cut to the chase. New Daredevil suit dropped, and I'm not gonna lie, it's absolute peak. It's incredible. It's everything that you could have wanted in a Daredevil suit. It takes the comics, it takes every other form of medium, and just kind of blends them all together into this perfect creation. This, like, perfect love child of just, like, incredible, like, just amazing. No, I'm just kidding. This is a real suit, alright? This is what it looks like. Whoa, hey, let's talk about it. But actually, if we're gonna talk about it, I think I probably have to clear the air on this. I don't like the Netflix Daredevil suit. I'm sorry. I know I'm gonna get, shot in the head by like 50 different Netflix soldiers. Just every single fan that accumulates that fan base just gonna tackle me in like some grand epic battle, but I don't like it. And I never did. And it's not that it's a terrible suit. That's not what I'm saying at all. I just think that it's a very mediocre suit. It works. I mean, for Netflix, it's a suit that's been in practically every Daredevil appearance, excluding the original suit they started out in every spin-off show, in every other show, that makes up the Netflix Marvel universe. He's worn it. And it looks good, for Netflix. It looks good for that universe and for that kind of grounded but slightly fantastical world that they exist in. But let's be real, we've seen it for 8 years. We don't need to see any more of it. And the thing is, if it was genuinely the best design, like the best possible design that you could give for Daredevil, then I'd be okay with it. I like the James Wan Aquaman suit. I think it's one of the best comic book suits brought to live action, just in general. I wouldn't mind getting that same exact suit for 5 movies, or even the Blue Beetle suit, because those are genuinely the best representations of taking the comics, what made the suit so epic in the comics, and then translating that to live action. With Netflix Daredevil, it's kind of a different situation. It's not the best design that they could have came up with. I mean, in a way, it's kind of over-designed. I don't like the belt section. The mid-section looks kind of awkward, in my opinion. The shade of red isn't really a crimson red. It's more of a maroon red. It's, all in all, just not a good representation of the suits that we've come to know him from. I mean, the Chip Zdarsky Daredevil is probably one of the best Daredevil runs I've ever read. And the suit within that comic is probably one of the best Daredevil suits I've ever seen. It's simple, it's practical, it's the suit that he had in season 1 of Netflix's Daredevil, but red. And that's all he needs. He doesn't need like this crazy amount of armor padding. He doesn't need all of this, ballistics material kind of covering his suit, covering his midsection. He just needs a red suit with a D on the chest, actually 2 of them, with his batons stapled to the sides of his body, and 2 straps covering his legs. That is peak Daredevil. And this actually brings up an issue that the MCU has as a whole. They seem to be hellbent on over-designing the most simplistic suits known to man. And to be fair, this isn't necessarily a problem that's exclusive to Marvel. I mean, I liked Ben Affleck's BVS suit. I hated Ray Fisher's Cyborg suit. I love Paul Rudd's Ant-Man 1 suit. I hated every other suit to come after that. It's a problem that's kind of odd when you think about it, because if your job is to secure comic accuracy, why aren't you just doing that? Why are you trying to overcomplicate these designs and try and do something that's so incredibly different, as if that's going to improve the product in any way? What matters is the writing. It's the portrayal of the character. It's the individual product that you're creating as a whole. It kind of adds to an issue that I've had with Marvel that they've even admitted to recently. And that being, they have no regard for the source material. Like, they're not making these projects for Disney Plus or really anything Marvel related, at least, in the MCU, with the comics in mind. We kind of saw this in Secret Wars, where that story is so very, almost drastically different from the story that we grew up on, if you grew up reading that story. To the point where the showrunners of the show are even mentioning how they just didn't pick up a single Secret Wars comic in preparation for the show, which just kind of shows the regard that they have for the source material. It shows that, Disney isn't exactly obsessed or even caring about taking these comics that we've grown and loved and trying to honor them in the best way possible. They're more just concerned with trying to make, a somewhat decent product out of what they have now. And I'm not saying, like, I'm not one of these, I'm not one of these comic book fans that believes that everything needs to be exactly the same way that it is in the comics. It needs to be comic accurate or else it's bad. I enjoy a lot of things that aren't comic accurate. I enjoy Moon Knight, even though that's not at all what happened in the comics or how that story even came to be. Or even most recently Loki, which is kind of its own new thing. It's actually almost a completely fresh idea that isn't exactly inspired by the comics, but still kind of presents that same, element in progressing Loki's character. The problem with Marvel isn't that they don't make things comic accurate. It's that they don't feel like it's important. They don't feel like honoring these comics in the most accurate sense is more important than them hiring their own team of writers to write their own story that may be better or worse than the original product, the original story. It's them having this kind of egotistical mindset where they think they can come up with better stories than the people that have been doing it for the last 10 years. I mean, don't get me wrong. Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and Civil War are some of my favorite MCU movies of all time. I think they're some of the best Marvel movies we've ever gotten. And they aren't in any way, a true reflection of what that storyline was in the comics, even if we're just going from like scale. So I do believe that they can make good product while not staying 100% true to the comics. I just feel like now there's just less effort that's being put into these projects that try and do that. You had the Russo brothers kind of working together in that team of writers kind of creating this incredible vision for these characters. And that seemed to really work out, but they took their time to create that. They took many hours and many meetings to kind of come together and figure out what is the best way that we can adapt the story in a way that works for our universe, in a way that kind of pays homage and kind of pays respect to the magnitude of that story and how it affected the Avengers. And also, how can we introduce an arc for Captain America and for Tony and kind of break them apart so they can be brought back together later on. If you look at any of the recent MCU projects that they've had, both theatrical and Disney+, they don't really seem to be taking that much time and thought into making these projects anymore. It's more of just, you have an idea, we know this could probably make some money, let's just put this guy in here. Let's get this new writer who just started like 2 weeks ago, throw him in there, throw him a script. If he gets one in time, if he gets one out and on our desk in enough time, then he has a job. If not, get a new guy. I mean, I don't think you need to hear from me that Marvel's lack in quality has been very, very staggering to MCU fans that once enjoyed the universe. But I think it's just affecting everything in a much more negative sense that we're kind of realizing. I mean, it feels like such a night and day difference when you take something like the DCU, which is very, from what we've heard so far from James Gunn, it's going to be very inspired by the comics. It's going to be very inspired by the best things that made those stories work, the best things about those universes. He's gotten together with multiple writers, even comic writers, to help create this universe and make it feel as much like the comics and as much as a meaningful representation of those comics as possible. Where Marvel, on the other hand, is just kind of like, let's just make something, make a little bit of money, and we'll be fine. If you stayed till the end of this video, I want to personally thank you. It took like 50 million times for me to re-record this thing and get it to actually like sound like I know what the hell I'm talking about. We had motorcycles just flying past the mic, and like, I don't know, I think someone got shot in the making of this video that I just had to cut out because like I can't use that take. So if you made it this far, thank you. This is probably going to be my first video on the channel, if not my second. I'm going to be starting to do more videos. We have a lot of great things happening. I know I've been saying that I'm going to upload videos on this channel for like, I don't know, what feels like a year at this point, but we made it. We're here, and you're here with me, and that's the most important part. So once again, thank you. I also want to announce that I'm writing a movie. I'm writing a pitch for a movie as a part of this collective group of creators on the YouTube space where we kind of make our own DC universe and kind of make it in the style that we would want, putting our best foot forward. I'm talking about DC Prime. It's being helmed by some schmuck films and fake happy films. It is essentially this cinematic universe that's going to play out across all of our different channels. A good friend of mine, Mason the Nerd, who you guys all know, is also a part of this universe, is going to be writing a Batman story that is very different from what you've come to know, and probably something that you've been waiting to see. We'll all, of course, be tackling different projects within this universe, focused around different characters. Mine, of course, which is one that you may not have been expecting. It's a little something called Wonder Woman Battle of the Gods. It is a high-stakes epic fantasy about Wonder Woman, and a story where the gods are neglecting their responsibilities over Earth, and Diana sees this and sees the spoils of their negligence affecting the world around her. And after seeing her people's pain and suffering, she takes it upon herself to embark on a journey to take this dispute up to the gods themselves, traveling through the underworld up to Olympus to fight these gods head on. It is both a very familiar and very different take on Wonder Woman. It exposes her to a certain level of vulnerability that she's never really been seen through. And I think it works really well. I think it's a story that a lot of people are going to connect with and are going to come out of this kind of learning something about themselves and learning about what it takes to be a hero and the sacrifices that come with that. Really exciting project. I'm really stoked to be working on it. I think you guys are going to love it. That should come towards the end of March. So look out for it. Again, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.